Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips, and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
The Best Sports Betting Podcast, episode number 41. With me, as always, is Simon. Simon, how was your weekend? We had a little bit of a chat earlier, but why don't you tell our listeners?
Yeah, it was a rather frustrating one for me from a betting perspective. Even though I did make a small profit in the end, but some great rugby especially. So there was some good sport to be had.
Yeah, and before we jump to that, I'm just going to give a shout out to Murray Makepeace for his horse Taking the Piece, running an absolute cracker in the Guineas yesterday. It was opened at 25 to 1 and it shortened all the way to 16 to 1. So those that were following us on Twitter, I'm sure you would have seen all the tweets that were going out. And I hope you guys managed to jump on for a couple of bucks. I did, and it's paid for the next couple of weekends out. So I'm happy about
Brilliant.
that. But yeah, let's dive right into the sports. Rugby. Let's start off with a couple of the upset games. The Lions versus the Bulls. We liked the plus 11, and as we said earlier, it was a good bet, but no luck there on the number.
Yeah, it was a great watch, that game. Transvaal Derby didn't disappoint at all. Very expansive running rugby from both sides and quite a high scoring game. The Bulls, they couldn't go sort of toe to toe with the Lions in the end, but as you say, we definitely were on the right side there. I mean, that moved from 11 down to 8 on the plus before kickoff, so we didn't manage to cover the number, but we're definitely on the right side in that bet.
Yeah, and then we had the Sharks drawing with the Waratahs. I didn't manage to catch too much rugby on the weekend, but that was definitely one that kind of stood out as a bit of a shocker. You managed to catch that game though.
I did, and that was one of my leans as well. Tars plus the points there, and admittedly the Sharks probably should have won that match, but it's one of those things. Same with the Chiefs over the Blues. It was a game we liked. We both liked the Chiefs there to open a pick'em, and the Blues ended up 3-point favorites, and that was actually my strongest lean in the podcast. And I, like the Waratahs, actually talked myself out of taking the Chiefs in that bet. There were a lot of injuries in the Chiefs camp, which I guess justified that line moving against them and becoming 3-point underdogs. But for me, that said, there's sort of the lesson, which I sort of often find myself overanalyzing games and maybe weighing up too many opinions on Twitter and so on. If I just stuck to my guns and gone with my gut, I would have been far better off.
Definitely. And I did not take a pre-match bet. That was my podcast best bet. I actually got on in play, so I got plus 8.5 because I was just so busy moving and all of these different things that I'd completely forgotten to get my bet on. And then I saw the score and I was like, ooh, this is value. So I got 8.5 and I got a bit of 16 to 5 on straight win. So
awesome.
I was pretty chuffed with that. Pretty profitable that side.
Fantastic.
But then, you look over at the soccer, and if you're an Arsenal supporter, then you're throwing away money every single week. 2-1 loss to good old Brighton and Hove. Did you read any match reports of any of that?
Yeah, I didn't see that game, but I don't think that result would have exactly shocked too many Gunners fans to the core, would it? I'm just talking, Rob. 2 months ago we were wondering what odds we might get on Wenger to be sacked before the start of next season, and Betvic had priced that up at 9 to 10, and I really regret not taking that bet because it now looks inevitable.
Yeah, 9 to 10 was a cracking price, and it's really something that you should have jumped on then. But hindsight once again. And then we had City beating Chelsea, a game I didn't watch. I watched some of the highlights and I read the match reports, and City are looking very, very good. And look, they've won the league, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were to get close to Arsenal's Invincibles record, even though they can't.
Absolutely.
Even though they can't really. I think they have
absolutely
lost a game this season. But
if you just watched that game yesterday, the attitude they went into that game with, they really have. Let's be honest, quite little to play for, and they really played with dogged determination. They just controlled that game completely. Sure, they could have scored more goals, but they never ever looked under any duress in that game. It's just a classy team.
Very classy indeed, yeah. And then Liverpool looking good as always, thumping Newcastle 2-0. Didn't really reflect the scoreline, or the scoreline didn't really reflect the game. And I know you said you really fancied Liverpool for Champions League glory. So
Yeah, look, when I say I really fancy them, I think it would be an absolute outside chance. There's no doubt about that. But I do see value in that price, which was at 14-1 when I last looked. I'm not sure what it is now, but I certainly think they have a shot. It would certainly be a surprise even to myself, of course. But I think it's not a bad bet at all. It's really not at those prices.
yeah, and just talking about the Champions League, Neymar's been named out injured or declared injured until the World Cup. So that's a big blow for Brazil and for PSG.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to take me. That'll take. That's where I'm going for my Champions League bet, but we'll get to that shortly.
Yeah. All right then. Quick little chat about the cricket. South Africa capitulated as always. I was as I said, I was moving the whole weekend. Fortunately, I had Radio 2000 on, so I had the cricket running on the radio. And the commentators just made me want to vomit in the car because, geez, they could talk so much shit. Like, we're sitting there at like 150 for 5, and these guys are saying, "Oh, they just need a bat for a day and a half." Like, are you watching the game? You've lost your top order for like 100 for 50. I think they were 49 for 5 at a stage or something like that.
Yeah, well, look, AB in the first innings, AB was the only real contributor with the bat. And I mean, look, the Proteas just really struggled against the spin of Nathan Lyon and Mitchell Starc. I mean, Mitchell Starc was swinging the ball like Waka Yunus in the 90s. Really great to watch, honestly. Yeah. He's a fantastic bowler, and when he's getting the ball moving, he's very, very hard to play.
And his chirps are hilarious as well. I don't know if they had them on the TV, but they had the stump mic quite often on the radio, and there was a lot of banter going on. Well, one-sided banter between him and De Kock, who's a pretty good performance too.
He did, yeah. He almost kind of held it together. When I say almost, I mean we had a small chance towards the end there, but if you just look at those two innings and you just look at the two scorecards, the most obvious thing you see straight away is that the Australian batting line, although not necessarily that much better than South Africa or even perhaps, they always have more contributors. We never have more than two players who will actually score some runs, whereas they will have a couple players 30, 40, 35. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll have the whole team scoring 30, whereas we'll have two guys scoring 100. Everyone else going up for less than 10 or something like that. Which is just not on.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's when we get all our batters to come to the party, then we can maybe have a chance. But until then, I'm very skeptical of South Africa's chances in this season, in this series after watching that first Test match.
Yeah, I'm also going to be looking to fade them. I don't think you're going to get much of a price on Australia in the next Test. Probably looking at like 6 to 10, if not a little bit shorter than that. But yeah, we'll see. Right, let's look ahead at some of the sports upcoming this week. Let's start off with the rugby. I have not had too much of a chance to look at the rugby, so Simon, I'm going to hand this over to you because, I haven't had a look at the caps or anything like that.
Sure, well, let's look at the Super Rugby first. There's a bet here which just stands out to me. There's nothing else I really like, but I like the Crusaders to win at the Hurricanes at 23-20. Look, obviously, after a pretty woeful performance against the Bulls in week 1, they were improved yesterday, but nowhere near their best against the Jaguars. I mean, they made tons of handling errors, and I just think the Crusaders are going to absolutely punish these mistakes far more effectively than the Argentinians managed to. So I think the favorite is just the wrong way around here. I would have the Crusaders as 8-10 favorites.
Crusaders they're coming off a bye, aren't they? Or
no, No, they played at home, but they're also not traveling as far as well. But that's
also what
they're traveling within New Zealand. Yeah. Whereas the Canes are coming from Argentina. But I just think
when they're coming from South Africa or going from South Africa, Argentina back home.
No, they've just been in Argentina now.
But the week before that, were they playing in South Africa? For some reason, I have a feeling that they were.
Well, they were playing against the Bulls.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
they played the Bulls.
That's right.
So this is a hell of a long journey for them.
Basically. It is. I just think this favourite's just the wrong way around. I mean, I'm not going to say that the Crusaders should be massive favourites here, but they should certainly be 1 or 2 point favourites, I think. So I just love them odds against here. So 23-20 for the Crusaders to win. It's probably going to be quite a close game, but I think the Crusaders will definitely have the better of the Canes here.
Okay, and any other matches catch your eye?
Not in Super Rugby, no.
And we do have some Six Nations coming up. Sorry, I sound like I'm completely unprepared for this podcast, but I've literally been moving the last couple of days. Yes, there is Six Nations this weekend. We've got Ireland, Scotland, France, England, which should be quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
Just opening now and having a quick look at the handicaps for the France game. I'm pretty surprised to see that England are 6.5, 7 point favourites. What are your thoughts on that? I mean,
okay, well, look, I mean, I lost with England 2 weeks ago. I backed them with -7 against Scotland, and we're getting the same number here, the exact same line against France. And I think this is an overreaction. I have to believe that Eddie Jones and his team are really going to respond, especially after that grilling by the English press. So, look, although they came very close, France actually couldn't even cover the handicap against Italy last week. And I just think England are in a good spot to bounce back here. I mean, 7 points is really not a big number to cover against France. I mean, they are still the tournament favourites. Some places Ireland actually are, but still, I think that they can bounce back, and I think they'll certainly cover this -7.
Quite liking that 6.5, 7 there. Look, you're going to be losing a little bit of juice there, but it's still a decent price. Especially, I mean, the French haven't been overly impressive, and I think it's a good bounce back spot for England. It's not like that they must win. Obviously, if they want to stay in contention, they need to win it. But
yeah.
It's one of those games that I would expect the cap to actually be about 10.5. If
absolutely, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think it should be closer to 10. And to be honest with you, before the tournament started, this would probably be about 12. So look, we've obviously seen England's weaknesses exposed. There's no doubt about that. But 7 points against France, I think that's too little. I think that they've had 2 weeks to prepare as well. I think Eddie Jones has had a grilling week with them, and they're gonna if they're not gonna win this game comfortably, I think we really need to worry.
Yeah, and then just looking back when Ireland beat France, I'm just having a quick look into the past year, and the handicap for that game was 7. So Ireland was 7 point favourites going into that game. So I think it's pretty good value there on England.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. So no other. I mean, there's some other rugby. There's Ireland, Scotland. I don't think there's going to be too much value there. Wales, Italy, once again, sort of. Decent versus absolute crap. And then we've got some Premier, Europa League, and Champions League football coming up this week. There's actually Crystal Palace United tonight. And I do know you quite fancy your Fetcook Palace. Do you have a view on that game?
I don't, and the reason being is that I think they've got United have got Liverpool on the weekend, so I certainly wouldn't be wanting to back United there.
What would you think off the top of your head? What would you think the price on United would be?
I know what the price is. I think
damn it!
1.55.
Okay, well, I think that's a bit ridiculous. I think it's way too generous. On United, I think it should be more about 6, 7 to 10. I don't think that's a great price. I won't be backing United, not at all.
Yeah.
Especially considering their away record isn't like fantastic. It's not bad. It's just not 5 to 10 kind of good.
No, you have to expect Mourinho's going to be looking ahead to the Liverpool game, which we can get to in a minute.
Yeah. All right, and then on Tuesday we've got Champions League. We've got Liverpool Porto. I think that's a pretty dead rubber game. I'll probably stay away from that one because if you're winning the first leg 5-0, you're going to throw on your second team and let them play backwards with their arms tied behind their backs or something like that. Liverpool 5 to 10, and I won't touch that. I will not touch it. I see this game ending in like a 1-1 draw just because Liverpool really don't have much to play for. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way they're going to lose 6-0 or
sure.
something like that.
No, I have a small lean here, and it is a small lean. But I mean, I talked last week about the needing to win factor and it being very overrated in handicapping, and I think there's an opportunity here this week to oppose PSG for that exact reason. Now, of course, PSG need to turn around a 3-1 goal deficit to qualify, but I think that you're getting value in Real Madrid here to win or draw at 8 to 10 on a double chance. Now, obviously, PSG have to win this game, of course, but I just think that you're getting under even money on PSG, and after the way that Real Madrid matched up with them last week, I just think that's pretty good value. Look, obviously, it's, as I said, it's not a strong player for me, but I think that if I would have to side with Real Madrid there on the double chance at 8 to 10.
Yeah, and I looked at this game and I wasn't too sure. It's a 2-0 win for PSG would see them go through, but they're missing Neymar. they're missing a couple of other players,
Yeah.
and I can't back them, especially at even money. I think that's a little bit crazy. But the thing
Yeah.
is, I don't want to oppose them either, so I'm going to be staying away from this game.
Yeah, look, this is my point exactly. I think they should be 12-10, and they're only even money because they need to win the game, and I think that's a lot of hogwash, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at PSG's home record, and good lord, the last time they did not win at home was in July 2017.
Wow.
So yeah, and there's lots of high numbers, next to those green W's. I think there's only one, two that I can see here that were actually one, two, three that were under 2.5 goals, and this is going all the
Okay.
way back to July. No, May 2017. So
Yeah, look, let's not forget that this is the Champions League, and this is Real Madrid, who arguably have more Champions League experience than any other team.
yes.
So,
But it just shows
look,
the quality of the home record, And look,
yeah, look,
League One isn't
that
the
price
Champions League.
that price is just not enticing me on PSG. And if I had to have a bet there, as I said, not a strong lean, but if I had to have a bet there, I would certainly side with Real Madrid.
All right, then on Wednesday we've got another dead rubber game between City and Basel. You're going to be getting some pretty crappy odds on City, 1.13. Nothing worth taking there. They're going into that 4-0 up. They're probably going to rest a couple of key players. Not that they really need to, but just to avoid injury for the further Champions League stages. And then Tottenham Juventus is probably the pick for me of the actual week. That's the one that I'm definitely going to be watching. I think that match has got quite a lot of potential to be an absolute cracker. The first leg was obviously the 2-2 draw where I had Juventus to win, and they just bottled it completely. It could have been 3-0 up in the first 10 minutes. They've got a couple injuries. I'm not sure if backing Spurs is the right thing to do here. Look, the price isn't great. It's 11-10, and I think that's a little bit short, especially considering the first leg. Yes, look, it was a very even game, but Juventus were definitely off form since then. So it's and look at Juventus's away form. Even in the Champions League, it's pretty solid. I mean, I think they've won their last 10, 12 games away from home. So it's difficult to oppose them. But if Spurs were like 15-10, I'd probably be jumping all over that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's any value at Spurs there, but it's difficult to oppose Juventus. Again, same, also lots of experience in the Champions League. I wouldn't be backing Spurs there.
Yeah, and I would expect Juventus to have learned from their mistakes from the first leg. So I wouldn't put myself past taking maybe under 2.5 goals there. I don't see it being as high scoring as the first one.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it's going to be a pretty low scoring affair. I think Tottenham are going to come out, grab a goal too, and then just sit back. And you're getting 8-10 on under 2.5, which is fairly reasonable. So I might have a little stab there, just as interest while I'm watching the game. All right, then on to the Europa League, where I've actually got a bet. I'm not going to talk about too many other of the fixtures. I'm going to talk about AC Milan versus Arsenal. Now, I'm going to be backing AC Milan here. I cannot touch Arsenal at the moment. Their away form is not great. Their form in general is just pretty piss poor. And you're getting even money on AC Milan to win here, which is, I think, pretty crazy. Especially considering AC Milan's form at the moment. I think they've won 8 of their last 10 games.
They have, yeah. They're on a serious run at the moment. That's right.
If you look at Arsenal on the other hand, they've lost 6 of their last 10 games. This is at home and away, so it's definitely, it screams AC Milan to me. I don't expect like a high scoring kind of action packed game, but the Gunners are a mess at the moment, so I'll be backing AC Milan there. Do you have?
Cool. I think we need. I'm not
Premier League this weekend.
Yeah, I do. I think we definitely need to talk about not so much Man City, Chelsea maybe, but definitely United Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's another tough card in the Premier League. Early in the season, I was able to find 2 or 3 bets each week, which looked value, but I'm struggling to see any edges at the moment. Just quickly, I mean, one of the few advantages I think you have as a punter of the bookmaker is that you don't have to bet on every game, and the bookmaker does have to post odds and a line for every game. So, I mean, the reason I bring this up is because, it only really makes sense to bet games where you feel you have where the odds aren't quite right, and you have an edge. So if you expect to see a particular outcome in a match, it doesn't necessarily mean there's any point in betting it. So yeah, I think that I guess the moral of the story here is that treat your bets with respect, and more importantly, respect the market. And at the moment, I just think that the Premier League is getting it pretty spot on. But I think we need to talk a bit about those two big games, Rob. So do you have any leans there?
I don't have any leans there. This is a game that I'm looking forward to. If I were to kind of pick a side, I'd probably go with Liverpool. I think they're the form side at the moment. They are, they're looking very, very potent. They're just clicking.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me maybe 5-6 weeks ago, I'd probably have looked at United, who were then at that time, on a good run. But I think United are on a bit of mixed form at the moment. At home, they're doing very well, but Liverpool are just looking as good as City, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, I mean, the fact that United are 15-10 to win at Old Trafford against Liverpool shows you how far Jurgen Klopp's team has come. I mean, bear in mind that United have only lost to City this entire season, and they're still 15-10, which is a big price at home, and I can't argue with that. I mean, if as you say, the eye test says that Liverpool are the far better team at the moment. And I agree with you. Despite the respect that Liverpool is getting in the market by this price, I'm still tempted by the price of Liverpool draw no bet, which is at even money.
That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, the double chance is just too short at 5-10.
Yeah,
but the draw no bet is definitely something that I'll be having a stab at.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think that these kind of games, I often tend to back unders, but I think there's a good potential of this game going over as well, because I can, regardless of United's defense, which has been pretty solid at home, I think Liverpool could easily grab 2 goals here. So I think this game might well go over. That's priced at 9-10, but I prefer the Liverpool draw no bet at even money.
Definitely, and I'll follow you with that one. And the other game of the weekend that you had a fancy on, Simon?
Well, the other game, I think the bigger game of the week is, another big game of the week at least, is Man City Chelsea, I guess, which obviously was just played on as well. But that's look, I can't. I can't back City there really at those prices. I'm not.
Chelsea is,
hang on. Sorry.
That was it. That was
yesterday. Sorry, I've got the card confused there completely.
Okay, because they're playing Stoke. City are playing Stoke away from home, which is, I mean, I don't even want to look at the price. I'm not going to be bothered looking there. It's going to be
right. I looked at that card too early. Then never mind about that.
No problem. All right, so anything else before we head off? Are you going to be opposing South Africa in the cricket for the upcoming second test?
Well, I ended up taking Australia draw no bet for the series there, so I think I'll just sit with that bet at the moment. Which after watching the first test, obviously there's still 3 to go, but I feel pretty good about that bet now. And also took a smaller stake on Australia to win the first test and the series. So yeah, let's see what happens. But I'm worried about that bowling attack of Australia's. So if Mitchell Starc can keep swinging that ball like that, I think that we're going to struggle to face that. I really do.
All right, best bet.
I'm gonna go with England -7 away to France. So you can get 6.5 in places. It's going to be 8-10 as opposed to 9-10. But I'm happy to take the -7 at a slightly bigger price. I mean, obviously, yeah, we talked about their weaknesses have been exposed, but I think that they can get the win against France quite comfortably. I imagine, as we mentioned earlier, I imagine this line would be around 10 before England had started their campaign rather dodgily. And I expect they'll get the job done probably by double digits on Saturday against France.
Okay, and I'm going to go with AC Milan to beat Arsenal. There are a few bets I like in the Super Rugby, but I haven't researched them enough to make a final opinion on them. So I'm going to be going with AC Milan at even money to beat Arsenal in the Europa League. Right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We've got a review up of the new Sportingbet website. Lots of feedback coming from that, lots of positive and negative feedback. So, Simon, you need to go and check it out. Look, it is a new website. They haven't buggered it up like BetX did when they launched their website. So, my message to everyone is just be patient with them. They have launched it. It is functional. You can log in with your details. You can deposit. Everything's still the same. It's just different, and they're using a different kind of trading software on the back end. So I've had from reliable sources that they will be having more and more in play and markets and whatnot coming up. So just be patient with them and their kind of limited selection until everything is ready. But guys, we'll see you next time. Simon, have a good one, and let's go make some money, boys.
Thank you. Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.